Jacoby Brissett's going to start moving forward for Arizona. And great win for the Cardinals last night. They thrashed the Cowboys. Honestly, credit to Femi. Credit to me. Arizona plus the points. Femi with the money line. Not to toot my own horn because, this... Speaking of buckets, I took a bucket, like a sand bucket, like a beach bucket. And I was on the Titanic this weekend, betting the NFL. This son of a bitch hit the iceberg. And I was throwing water out with the sand bucket. That was the bucket that I was using. So this is not to intimate, wow, what a great weekend for me. But I will say, Marvin Harrison Jr. over receiving yards. Pretty good. So Arizona looks good last night, right? Win, snap the 5-game losing streak. And, I don't think Arizona's going to the playoffs, and I'm going to lead everyone through what I think's happening here in Arizona. It's going to take a few minutes because I think it's pretty complicated. The Cardinals are definitely better than the record indicates. I think we can agree. And I can say, I was wrong on Arizona to win the NFC West. I don't know if they're going to go over the preseason win total and finish above 500. Probably not. The division's absolutely stacked. But this team's way better than the record indicates at 3-5. The Tennessee loss earlier this year is maybe the most inexplicable loss ever in the history of sports. Not just the NFL, maybe in the history of sports. Last night after the game, Jacoby Brissett plays well. And no one is here to suggest that he's a world beater, right? He's not Mahomes. He's not Lamar. He's not. But we all watch the games. And we've all watched Kyler Murray play. And as someone who has an interest in the Arizona Cardinals this season, and a fantasy interest in Arizona with Marvin Harrison Jr. and Trey McBride on a ton of teams, let's call a spade a spade. Jacoby Brissett is running the Drew Petzing offense better than Kyler Murray is. Period. You don't need to be grinding the all-22 in a dimly lit room with Cheeto dust on your fingers, with surrounded by empty cans of Red Bull, to know that Jacoby Brissett is running the offense better than Kyler Murray. I'm not saying that he's a better quarterback than Kyler Murray, but he's running this offense way better than Kyler is. It's not even close, honestly. And that's more of an insult to Kyler than it is a compliment to Jacoby Brissett. So the game ends last night. Jonathan Gannon's being asked questions, right? And think about what Troy Aikman's saying on the broadcast on Monday Night Football. Jacoby's going to keep this job. How are they going to go back to Kyler? We're all thinking it. And then Jonathan Gannon says it's Kyler's job when he's healthy. And you hear people in the media start talking about it. And they're saying, Brissett's better right now for this offense. Maybe not overall. But Kyler is the guy that they're paying gobs of money to. So Kyler's going to be the guy because that's ownership's guy. Gannon didn't draft him. Monty Ossenfort, the GM, didn't draft Kyler Murray. But ownership paid him, so he's going to be the guy. And then you find out that Jonathan Gannon has reversed course on literally what he said last night. Not even 24 hours have passed. And he's changed his mind. He said Kyler gets the job when healthy. Needs to work on his health bucket. He was pressed, and I mentioned this with Mark Schlereth. Is this health or performance related? And he said, honestly, it's a little bit of both. Kyler Murray has been benched. So what does this tell everybody about what's happening here in Arizona? You bet on this Tuesday. So let's consider it, right? This is year 3 for Jonathan Gannon and Monty Ossenfort. They have yet to make the playoffs. Now, unless you are the New York Football Giants, where Brian Daboll may have the job for life despite the team being bad every year, generally this is where regimes get fired. You've had the job for 3 years, you haven't made the playoffs. To me, this is Jonathan Gannon and Monty Ossenfort planting their flag in this, they're planting their flag here in the sand. And what they are saying is, the reason why we have not been good is because of the quarterback. And we are going to defy, and we don't know for sure that ownership wants them to start Kyler, but it would seem to make sense, right? That's where the financial investment is. it would seem that they are almost in defiance of ownership. And I'm not saying that that's what's happened here. Maybe they've gotten the okay from the Bidwell family in order to do this. Probably, right? It's their boss. But to me, this is Jonathan Gannon and Monty Ossenfort saying, like, okay, we've got to save our jobs. And how we can do that is by playing well with Jacoby Brissett as the quarterback. And in doing so, showing that the problem all along is not me, the head coach, or him, the general manager, but this quarterback that we didn't draft. And I think it might actually work. I think they might actually both come back next year. And they're not making the playoffs. Like, it's too late. It's too late, baby, now it's too late. A little Carole King for everybody on a Tuesday. It's too late. Seattle has got 6 wins. The Rams have 6 wins. The Niners have 6 wins. The Cardinals have 3. It's too late. It just is. And think about the quarterbacks. Like Brock Purdy started a Super Bowl, took Patrick Mahomes to overtime. Hall of Famer Matthew Stafford for the Rams. MVP candidate Sam Darnold for Seattle. Career journeyman backup Jacoby Brissett for Arizona. It doesn't pass the smell test. They're not going to make the playoffs. But can they be respectable rest of season? I think the answer to that question is yes. Coming into the year, one of the reasons why I liked Arizona, and again, to be clear, like I was wrong. They're not going to win the division. They're probably not going to win 9 games. Probably not going to happen. I really liked this defense. I loved Walter Nolan in the first round, and you saw how good he was last night making his debut. Will Johnson's a stud at the cornerback position. They signed Josh Sweat. Like, he looked good last night against. I understand I get it. It's Dallas. This defense is good. And it's healthy now. And Jonathan Gannon might be, like, not a great game manager. And obviously, he, like, hit one of his players. Like, hit Amari DiMercato. By the way, it looks like Amari DiMercato got the message when he went down at the end of the... Like, he played great situational football. And he looked shot out of a cannon on some of these runs. Good running back. He is. Jonathan Gannon can coach defense. And I think what you're going to see is the Cardinals maybe not having a good one-loss record, but Arizona being in games. Remember, they almost beat the Colts in Indianapolis and almost beat the Packers with Jacoby Brissett starting, and then slammed the Cowboys last night. I think they're on the up and up here. Again, not to make the playoffs, but to be respectable. And this is, like, let's be clear about it. This is Jonathan Gannon and Monty Ossenfort saying, in order to save our jobs, we're hitching our wagon to Jacoby Brissett, not to Kyler Murray. And Mark Schlereth said it in the last segment, and he's 100% right. Like, this is it for Kyler Murray in Arizona. Now, you can invent a scenario where, let's say, like, Brissett can get hurt on the first play, comes in and plays well. Obviously, like, it's Kyler's job if that happens, of course, right? If Brissett gets hurt, Brissett could throw 5 picks, and Kyler comes in. It's not 100% that Kyler's not going to play. And if he does come in and play, like, he can obviously play well. I'm not saying, like, he's terrible, just that I don't think he's a good fit for the Drew Petzing offense. But this is a pretty clear signal now that Kyler Murray's time in Arizona is likely drawing to a close. Where's he going to play next year? Can he be rescued? Can he turn it around? It's a fascinating, fascinating question. Heisman Trophy winner, former number 1 overall pick in the draft, showed a ton of promise earlier in his career. Now benched for Jacoby Brissett. I'm not saying it's over for Kyler Murray for his career. That's certainly not the case. And we have seen quarterbacks with way less pedigree have successful second acts and third acts in the NFL. It can obviously happen. My best guess for the 2026 Arizona Cardinals, the coach is back, the GM is back, and the quarterback of next year's team is not currently on the Cardinals roster.